Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Flex Network, and we are live with the weekend review. And yes, it is a Tuesday show, but we're going to kick, the normal habit and do the weekend review live on Thursdays. And why is that? Because Thursday is Turkey Day for us here. And boy, oh boy, we just want to get this show out for you guys before you settle down with your family. You enjoy some birds, some potatoes, some rolls, and maybe some pie and some football for all of us here that love football on the Flex Network. But we just want to get this show done for you guys, and we're going to talk about Survivor Series. And joining me on the show tonight is my partner in crime, all the way from Texas, down south, my fellow Cougar, Flex Mike. What is up, my main man?
What is going on, SnowMan? You hit it right on the head. We are in Apple Cup week, Washington versus Washington State for the bragging rights, which we have not held in more years than I care to mention. And so that's going on this week. Of course, you got Thanksgiving this week. You got a lot of football going on. There's a pretty good slate of just Thanksgiving games themselves. I know a lot of people here in the Dallas area are invested into the Dallas Cowboys versus the Buffalo Bills on Thursday. They'll be invested into that, so that should be interesting. As for us Seahawks fans, though, we're not worried in Thursday or Sunday. You know, we got our game on Monday night in prime time, Monday Night Football once again. And hopefully we come out with a dub like we did last time we were on Monday night. So I'm happy to be here. I watched all of NXT. I watched all of Survivor Series. I've got some I would say I have some things I didn't like, but a lot of things that I really did like. And what do you say we go ahead and jump into it? But let's start with NXT, because NXT had NXT War Games, which is a very interesting and entertaining pay-per-view, and I guess you would say gimmick style match because of the style of the style of the match. It's the two rings. It's just super interesting. It's fun to watch, you know. So
yeah. I mean, War Games bringing the WCW throwback for us, 90s, kids, 90s, faithful that remember WCW, even the NWA, days, throwing it back there, with the two steel, one surrounding steel cage engulfing both. But with NXT's version, they don't have a roof on top, and they don't go through, have the match beyond, where the only way to win is by submission or saying I quit and giving up for your team. But this has been perfectly built for this for the November, to bring it back the last 3 years now. So this was awesome. And we're getting some shout outs. James, how about that miracle with Ray? But where's the best in the world? It's like, yeah, fortunately Ray did get a miracle on Monday. We'll get into that near the end. But CM Punk, of course, we know he's exclusive to Fox. He's under a Fox contract. He's not with WWE. Again, unfortunate, but it's a stepping stone, because he's working for WWE, but he's not really working for it. What are your thoughts with Punk getting back into the wrestling fold on WWE Backstage on Fox?
Well, I would say that the whole CM Punk edition is great because it allows CM Punk to be what he has always been, which was the mouthpiece and not really have a filter or any boundaries or anything. He gets to say what he wants. But really, for the first time, he doesn't really have to answer to anyone except for Fox. He could essentially say what he wants on Backstage without the WWE going in and saying, well, no, you need to say this or you need to say that, like he's on a commentary team.
Oh yeah,
because like you mentioned, he is employed by Fox. Fox pays his contract.
He's
So
making that Fox money.
yeah, so he's making Fox money. He's not making WWE money, so he doesn't have to answer to Vince or to any of the writers or to any of that type of stuff. And one of the I don't know if you've watched it, but one of the things that I have really enjoyed about it is even with like Booker T and Renee Young and Paige and some of these other people, it is much more of a a lot like how you would see like a First Take on ESPN or something. They're talking about what's going on, and it's all from like a fan perspective, or where, or how excited they were, how disappointed they were, or what they thought was going to happen or didn't think was going to happen. And so I appreciate that more, because in the world of wrestling, that's hard to find because there's so much kayfabe. Which I totally get also, but yeah, I really enjoy the show. I like that CM Punk is on there, and I hope that this show is a stepping stone to get CM Punk back on to our WWE screens.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I think this is just going to be it's going to take a process. It's going to take a while for the bridge to get rebuilt, and the fences mended between Punk and WWE of how everything went down between these two when he left, 5 years ago. I want to say it was 5, give or take. But again, it's nice to see him back under the WWE umbrella at a little bit of a umbrella, but it's still WWE. He's talking what's going on in behind the stage, backstage, with what's going on with Renee and Booker, Christian, and Paige. So it's just fun to watch. I love it on FS1. It's always fun to get the inside scoop. But now that we're done with talk about Punk and especially where's this event that we're going to be, these two events where we're going to be talking about being in Chicago, we're now going to move straight into Saturday's War Games, NXT War Games, the third takeover of War Games.
Well,
in November.
Let's go ahead and start with this one. James says Rhea Ripley and her team at War Games, though. So, SnowMan, just go ahead and jump into that. Let's talk about that match real quick.
The War Games style match for the women. The first time that the women have stepped inside this War Games with Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox, and was supposed to be Mia Yim taking on Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kaylee Reed, the reigning United Kingdom Women's Champion. So you got two champs on one side, the NXT Women's Champion and the UK's Women's Champion on the same team. But we found out during the pre-show at the top, like literally pre-show happens, and we get Mia Yim's attack backstage. She's knocked out. She's taken to the local hospital. And Rhea makes the split decision on the spot to replace Mia Yim with fellow Team Kick member Dakota Kai. Yes. But if you watch the pay-per-view, if you saw what happened, and I hope you guys did, because the takeover was awesome, top to bottom. We saw during during the match that Dakota was going to go in for her team after letting out of the cage, but we saw the betrayal of Team Kick right before our eyes, and one of the biggest shockers of that whole, to start the night off. And what's bad is I saw this happen, and I knew this was, I had this in the back of my mind. If you go back a couple weeks when they first were picked, when Ripley was picked, they were picking teams, and Dakota was, being thought of as a selection, but Rhea decides not to pick Mia Yim, or decides not to pick Dakota Kai, but picks Mia Yim right in front of Dakota's face. It's like, you didn't, sorry, I'm going with her. No hard feelings. You could see the look in her eyes. It's like, I'm not. And then when you got to TakeOver and you saw her make that replacement switch with Dakota, it's like, you gotta be thinking, it's like, I'm not a second pick. I'm a first pick, bitch. So that's where I see the betrayal right there. Because you if you've been watching NXT, it's like, yeah, that's how I felt with that whole Dakota Kai betraying Rhea Ripley's team, and especially tagging her best friend, her fellow member in Team Kick, Tegan Knox, which was awesome.
Yeah, the women absolutely shut it down. They shut it down on NXT. They shut it down on the other two rosters as far as Raw and SmackDown go. Also, women's wrestling nowadays has really turned that corner and become really something that draws the attention of some of the more diehard wrestling fans, because let's just go ahead and face it. The men across the board have been, I would say, letting us down for the past little while, because it's not because their wrestling ability or their athleticism or anything. It just has more to do with the writing. It seems like the writers are much more passionate and enthusiastic when it comes to the women's wrestlers than they are the men wrestlers at this point. So it's just been a crazy thing to see, and I'm just glad that wrestling as a whole has come a long way since bra and panties matches to seeing Charlotte Flair doing moonsaults from the ring post to the outside of the ring. Women's wrestling as a whole has just taken so many giant leaps forward, and anytime a women's match is on, no matter what brand it's on, even if it's not WWE, you're talking AEW, Ring of Honor, whatever, Impact or whatever, New Japan, anything, it's like it's must see TV. And so I'm just glad that we are finally at that point where it's like, man, my wife was kind of making a comment when I was watching wrestling a few weeks ago. She's like, she wanted me to help her do something, and I said after this match, and she's like, yeah. So yeah, man, I just can't say enough about women's wrestling and the place that it's in now.
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it used to be, the women were the in between, like people going to the bathroom, going to get popcorn, get another beer, and they were just, something on the card to where the guys can look at and we get to see hot chicks and everything, and the bra and panties matches, the paddle on a pole match, just or the lingerie pillow fight matches. So this was just it's been so refreshing the last several years with the women's evolution. It's, would start with WWE and transitioning into right now Impact with Tessa Blanchard going for the world title, not the women, the heavyweight title, the men's title. She's now going for number one contender for the world heavyweight championship on Impact. So that's impressive, to be seen. And look, we're getting Matt on here, our fellow flexer. Sorry, our fellow man Flex Matt's getting on the take with women are the best thing on WTV. It's like, period. And combine that with NXT and how they're tearing it up, men and the women.
Right.
Shit.
And Matt knows, because Matt and I have had conversations about, like, I don't care for like intergender wrestling.
No. Not how it used to be, but like the mixed match challenge, that's been good.
No, I'm cool with that, but I'm talking about, like, here's my example. When when Dean Ambrose was still with the company and Nia Jax just shows up and just absolutely embarrasses him at Royal Rumble or whatever it was.
Oh yeah,
I was
she
so
was
out
in the
on
Rumble.
that, dude. Yeah, I was so out on that. I was not interested. It was just super lame to me. And I just think for, I don't know, it's not that women can't do what men can do, because I would say that Charlotte Flair is probably the most athletic wrestler the company has outside of Ricochet. And so that she could totally do anything the men do. It's just, I'm just not interested in seeing a woman fight a man, or even even back in the day.
It's got to be a tag match, to where it's women versus women and a man versus a man kind of thing. Granted, like the Royal Rumble, like there's some people who can pull off going up against a man in certain situations, like the Royal Rumble with China being the first person to do it back in '99. Beth Phoenix getting it on 2011, I want to say, maybe 2012. Beth Phoenix getting in the Rumble, and then this past year, Nia Jax getting into the Royal Rumble on the men's side. So it's got to be a place and time that the women and the men mix it up, and who it is. So it's got to be situational and who it is.
Yeah, and it's not like it used to be when Andy Kaufman was wrestling back in the day, and he was feuding with Jerry the King Lawler, and he was just picking on women every night that wrestling was on. It's not something like that where it's super demeaning or anything. It's just, I don't know, man. I'm not interested in seeing a one-on-one at all of a man versus a woman. So it's just not interesting to me. But let's go ahead and go to what did you think of the main event of NXT War Games?
The men's War Game match. Yeah, that was awesome beyond belief. Undisputed Era, for the third year in a row, they've been in every War Games match for the last 3 years. Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong, the keepers of all the championships right now, taking on Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominic Dankovic, or if I can say his name right, and a mystery partner. It was supposed to be Matt Riddle originally, but because Finn was supposed to take on Johnny Gargano, and Johnny got injured when Finn Balor, turned on both Ciampa and Gargano at NXT TV taping and attacked him. He was injured. Riddle took his place against Finn Balor in the one-on-one match, so that left a vacancy spot. And we didn't know who was going to be the fourth member of this team until literally as it happened, as the countdown happened. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The gun or the cannon explosion went off. Like, okay, we're waiting. Who is it? They don't have anybody. Okay. And then you hear it. You hear the theme of Kevin Owens just belting out through the arena, and you saw KO in his duct tape NXT t-shirt.
Yeah, that was so classic.
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, his music is awesome too. That kind of like when his music hits and you don't expect it. The pop from when he came out was huge. It was so loud. So that was really cool. So James here says, "You mean the KO main event?" Exactly. Mm-hmm. And then Matt hops back on and he says, "What a bump by Ciampa and Adam Cole." So perfect.
Good God, yes. That match was just barbaric beyond anything.
Yes.
That match.
So I believe what Matt is talking about was when Ciampa had Adam Cole on. They were in the corner of the cage at the very top where that steel cord runs, and it's one of the cords that supports the whole cage. They got up there, and Ciampa had Adam Cole on his back, and they just dropped down off the top of the cage through a table. and Ciampa falls right on his back with Adam Cole underneath him, and then through two tables, they hit the ring, and they just stay like that with Ciampa laying on Adam Cole, and the ref comes over and counts the 1, 2, 3, and pins him, and Ciampa's team wins. It was incredible. The whole thing was wild.
It was freaking insane. And to your point, like when we heard Kevin Owens' theme, you're just waiting for who the fourth man is, and all of a sudden you're just hearing actually, I do have it for us.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me make sure.
Yeah, so
yeah, you're just waiting, and then that just coming out, and Kevin Owens walking down, old school, not really old school, but NXT version, and in that duct tape t-shirt and black and white gear, and man, was that awesome just to see and to hear. It was, it literally got everyone in the crowd just jumping in excitement, because now we're seeing, of course, with Finn going back to NXT and being the prince, throwback to Bullet Club right there in New Japan right there, and seeing Triple H over this time frame from Crown Jewel all the way through, trying to get recruited, former NXT alum to come back, like Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, and got Finn Balor back. So it's one of those things where you didn't expect it, but man, was it awesome.
So let's talk about this for a second, because Matt here is bringing up a good point. He says, I would rather seen him sell it hard because it was amazing. Who would be able to wrestle the next day after that for real? He's talking about the bump that Adam Cole took. And then he says, what do you think, or what do you guys think about Adam Cole coming back the next night to wrestle? First of all, it's not even just the next night. If you looked at the slate of matches that Adam Cole was in
that week,
just that week, competing on Raw, competing on SmackDown, competing at War Games, competing at Survivor Series.
You forgot at NXT, because he had a ladder match to determine the advantage.
So it was basically his last 5 matches. So we go Raw on Monday, NXT on Wednesday, SmackDown on Friday, NXT War Games on Saturday, and then Survivor Series on Sunday. That's 5 matches. By the way, every single one of those matches were grueling.
Oh yeah,
and he really proved his worth during that 5-match stretch, like how good of a worker he really is. Because guess what? None of those matches were even close to being average. Every single one of them was exceptional.
That's what happens when you're Adam Cole, baby. But in the fact that he was defending the title he's defended the championship 3 times in the span of a week, or I want to say a week, against Seth, against Daniel Bryan, and against Pete Dunne at the pay-per-view. So he's defending that championship, and he's been a hell of a champion on NXT brand. So it's been awesome.
So let's answer a question real quick.
Okay.
Because James here says, will we ever see the Fiend versus the Demon?
No. Not right now.
Yeah, so that's exactly my answer, because I say it's the most obvious matchup, and you can really only do it once and get the type of match that you want, the pop that you want, the storyline that you want, all of those things. You can really only do it once. So I think now what they're doing is they're spending their time developing the Fiend character, helping him gather momentum and all of these things. And then when the time is perfect that's when you can pull out the demon and say, you know, Bray Wyatt could go down to the ring or be cutting promos at the Firefly Funhouse saying, you know, this is is there no one else that can challenge me? I'm all alone, blah, 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 stuff like that. And then guess what? Bam, there you are. You know, you could hop in there and the demon could be there and it would not even be a problem.
But here's the problem with that. We have already had this encounter already happen to a degree. If you remember a couple years ago, and it was in the worst possible time frame that it could be. We had Finn versus Bray at SummerSlam. We had No Mercy, where it was the Demon versus Bray again, and then we were supposed to have, and then at No Mercy we were supposed to have the Fiend or the Demon versus Sister Abigail, kind of freaky version of Bray Wyatt. And that, thank God, that didn't happen, because he was out sick along with Roman at that time with something he got caught with, and then we got the Demon versus.
They had that staph infection, Roman Reigns and
but that was
Bray
a
Wyatt.
My bad.
Yeah.
So we got Demon versus AJ Styles instead of that Sister Abigail-ish Bray Wyatt. So that well has kind of been poisoned a little bit. So it's something you know it's going to happen down the line maybe, but not right now, because these two have met, and they just had their match at SummerSlam against each other, where it was just Finn versus the Fiend. They had that.
Oh, okay. So we're going to get back to this question from Matt real quick, but Matt here is saying it was meningitis. Bacterial meningitis. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was staph, but whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless, they couldn't compete because they were in a situation where they were risking infecting other wrestlers. So,
yeah, because that, while we didn't get the Fiend and we didn't get
Flex Shane is in the house.
We got the fourth member here. We got the fourth flexer on this show, repping on this, watching. What's up? But again, so we didn't get at that TLC pay-per-view, we didn't get Bray versus Finn in that alternate version, but we did get in return Finn versus AJ, and we got Kurt Angle joining the team with the Shield against Braun, Miz, and his cronies. So
that was Bobby Lashley, and that was Bobby Lashley and what's his name? Drew McIntyre.
I don't know. It wasn't Matt. It wasn't. No, it was Kane. Sorry, Kane, Miz, and his the B-list cronies at the time.
Right. Okay. So
that's what we got the trade off for at TLC. But
hold on. One more question before we move on to Survivor Series, because we're going to jump into Survivor.
We're not done with Survivor War Games, because we had two more matches.
Yeah. So real quick before we get to those two matches, let's talk about this right here. The Broken Skull sessions. So Stone Cold Steve Austin is sitting down with the Undertaker, and it's a one-on-one interview, Broken Skull type thing, and Austin is basically just asking Undertaker all these questions, but it's a behind the scenes. Undertaker isn't being Undertaker, he's being Mark Calloway.
He's being himself.
So he is just answering questions as the performer. Snow, did you watch it?
Yes, I watched it. As soon as Survivor Series was over, it switched on over to Broken Skull session, and it was very awesome. It was. I highly recommend going and watching that, just to see Austin and Undertaker talk about their time in the business, and you learn some some interesting stuff because especially with Undertaker when he first came in and was having the Undertaker character, and it's like, okay, you can't, and how he was learning all these, how to be Mystique and this dark person, and you learn that it was Jake the Snake Roberts that was giving him this advice back in the day about this.
Yes.
So it was awesome.
Matt sums it up perfectly. He says it's basically a podcast. I can't wait to see more. And that is the type of setting that it is. There's just a camera there to pick it all up, but because obviously they need to put it on. They need to put it on the WWE network. So it makes sense. But yeah. So if you guys haven't watched that, go check that out on the WWE network. And then just catch it next time it airs. But SnowMan, go ahead, jump into the next match from NXT War Games.
So we did find out on the last NXT show that we were actually going to get a match set up for War Games that was going to have interesting qualifications for the next night, because we know that at Survivor Series, the WWE Championship was on the line. We knew that the the Universal title was on the line. So what about the NXT Championship? Well, we got a triple threat match to determine the number one contender for the NXT title at Survivor Series, happening at War Games, between Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, and Damian Priest. And that match on its own was just the price of admission right there. Just War Games itself was, the marquee, but that itself was just, worth here. I want to go watch this.
Yeah, that was a great match.
Seeing Damian Priest, what we were being told on the show was that his gear was being, you could see some hints of tribute to the NWO's Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, with the wolf like blood that was dripping on his vest with Scott Hall, and his his fringes on the side of his leggings was Kevin Nash esque from the NWO. So that was awesome to see.
Right. I enjoyed that. So Matt has a question here. He says, what do you guys think about Priest? He says, Matt says he doesn't like him, but what do you think?
No, I like him. He's, after seeing what he's done at TakeOver and everything, I'm now a fan of him. He's awesome. He's pretty cool.
I just want to see a few more matches from him.
Yeah.
I haven't really been exposed to him a whole lot. And so I would like to see his character develop a little bit more, and I would just like to see him wrestle a little bit more.
And then, of course, Pete Dunne, Bruiserweight, getting another opportunity, winning that match, and getting a championship opportunity the next night, 24 hours later. Man, this match was awesome from start to finish. I highly recommend you guys go and watch this. This was a hell of a good triple threat match.
Right. Okay. What else you got for us? You got one more for us?
The final match of the night was Matt Riddle taking on Finn Balor 1-on-1.
Oh yeah, that was a cool match.
That was a good match. In general, Finn Balor going back to it, his, not really his old self, but his Prince self.
Right.
If you catch the drift from New Japan, the real rock and roller, he's back as himself. And to see his character change from what he was on the main roster on Raw to now back into this, not doing the demon right now that we know of, but just seeing this more darker-ish Finn Balor making NXT his again, and taking out Johnny Gargano when they first came on the scene on USA Network a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so Matt says that Finn was sick too. He means like actually ill. Finn Balor was
he was
battling like a flu or something like that.
Yeah, even for being sick during that match, he was still killing it with Matt Riddle. the bro man and just knock it out of the park. You couldn't tell that he was sick, but damn.
Right. So I'll say this real quick, just because this might go against like whatever the popular opinion of him is. But SnowMan, have you ever seen that movie Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so it is kind of like one of those like cult classic movies. A lot of people have seen this movie. But there's a character in this movie, and his name is Spicoli, right? And he's played by Sean. Is it Sean Penn that plays Spicoli? I believe it's a young Sean Penn, right? But Spicoli in this movie is like a young, like high school stoner kid. At one point, he's in like a super strict English class, and he orders a pizza because he's hungry.
Oh yeah,
and he has it delivered to the class. Okay, so the direction that I'm going with this is that our bro Matt Riddle comes off as a Spicoli to me, as like the stoner bro surfer type of dude.
Bro. I can totally see that.
And to me, he just comes off very douchey, and I don't like him because of that.
Oh, douchey? Are you kidding?
Yeah, and that's why I said it. My opinion is probably very unpopular, but once he gets in the ring and actually wrestles, I'm like, okay, I like him. It's like everything before and after the match I don't like. During the match I like, because he is a good wrestler.
Yeah, dude. When he first came in, it's like, okay, seeing what he could do. It's like, damn, not bad. And wrestling barefoot, that's a plus. Makes him a little bit different than everybody else. And being from the UFC, he's got an MMA background, and a wrestling background. So I like him. And just this laid back mentality. It's like he's not stressed. It's like, you know what? I'm good, man. Bro. So
James here says, I see him as Brody from Point Blank. If you ever seen Point Blank, that's also also a very good comparison.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that match was great.
Yeah, and that was War Games right there. That was Saturday night. But before I get to Sunday, this announcement that happened during the show will get everybody that's on my side of the war, the Northwest side, hyped up and looking forward to February, because we found out that the next location, the date for the next NXT TakeOver, and it will be happening February 16th, 2020, right down the road from me in the beautiful state of Portland, Oregon.
Nice.
Oh yeah, as soon as they show, it was like, wait a minute, there's announcing the next takeover, like, okay, and they're like, wait a minute, Portland? Yes.
So you and Mama Snow are gonna take a trip to Portland, right?
I will go to Portland. I've already been to Portland for the last original No Mercy when it was on the card regularly, not when it went away. So because I was there for the main event was the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight Championship. So I have the chair from the event. So like I got for Stomping Ground this past year. So this year.
I was about to say, dude, I know you probably have a ton of wrestling memorabilia that you just don't let anyone on the Flex Network know, but you need to hook a brother up with some of that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
I have the WrestleMania 19 chair from when it was at Safeco. I have the Stomping Ground chair. I have the No Mercy chair, and I have the Over the Limit 2012 chair for when it was John Cena versus The Miz in an I Quit match for the WWE Championship when it was at Key Arena.
Wow.
So
So what are those chairs running you when you buy them at the event? Like,
no,
150 a pop or something?
no, because generally you would buy them as your ticket. So if you buy a seat in the front row, if you're
Oh,
buying a seat in the
you
front
get to
row,
keep that chair.
you get to keep the chair. If you're sitting in a chair area, you get to keep the chair. But like my WrestleMania one, I bought at a card shop. That's because he went to the event, and I bought it, down there for like I think it was like 150. I want to say, I can't remember. I've had it for years. And then the No Mercy chair, I actually was just like, uh, after the show, just walking back to me and my best friend's car, mother's car, because we drove, we came down together. It was me, my best friend Sammy, and we brought his mom and his sister down. So we just took a day down in Portland, and walking back to the car, we're like, $50 for a steel chair for a chair. And someone just offered, it's like, hey, 2 chairs. I'm like, oh, here you go. So, all right, sweet.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just when you go to an event that has, if you're saying like a pay-per-view event or some events like this VIP events that they have on the WWE website. If you go and look for like ringside seats or something like that, and you buy a ticket for that, like front rows areas, you get to keep the chair that it comes with the price. So,
hey, so hold on, we got a little comment here.
oh yeah, okay,
so Flex Network, I'm assuming this is Flex Shane still, but he says, Mike, you should be studying for our draft tomorrow. So tomorrow night for our Wednesday show, we're doing like a little mid-season redraft with the fellas.
A little a pre-Thanksgiving turkey,
yeah,
feel. Turkey,
so it's only going to be for players who are playing on Thanksgiving Day.
Mm-hmm.
So no Seahawks players, no Vikings players, no any other players who are playing on Sunday. Only players that are playing on Thursday, which are Bills players, Cowboys players. I'm sure the Redskins are playing. I'm sure the Lions are playing.
I can actually tell you right now, because I have the lovely NFL app right up in front of me.
Yeah, so it is Flex Shane on there.
So your teams will be the Bears versus Lions. Butt crack in the morning at 9:30. They are the opening Thanksgiving kickoff.
9:30. What
Pacific time.
Is that Pacific time? So okay, so that'll be like
8 a.m. Pacific time. Lions and the Bears.
Okay.
Bills Cowboys are the afternoon game.
What time is that at?
1:30 Pacific. And then your Thursday, your Turkey Night ball game is the Saints and the Falcons.
That's surprising that the Skins aren't playing. Oh, and I see Shane here saying that no Skins.
Yeah, they play on Sunday.
They usually play every Thanksgiving though, don't they?
Normally, it's either the Skins or the boys that they'll generally be on the Thanksgiving Day game, even the Lions. Sorry,
I just feel like it's super fitting for the Cowboys to be playing the Redskins on Thanksgiving. It just seems to make sense. But okay. Oh, okay. Flex Shane over here talking mess. Here's the deal. Shane is over here saying, AKA Mike will get killed. But here's the deal. This is what these guys don't know. There's a definite gap in between their fantasy knowledge and my fantasy knowledge. But understand this one thing. I wing it every season in fantasy football. Every season. Because I watch so much football. It's just interesting how competitive I still am week in and week out, and I don't put nearly the amount of time that some of these other guys put into their fantasy teams.
Yeah, Yeah, I think you're right. It's normally the Skins and the Cowboys that are usually playing the Thanksgiving along with Detroit. They're normally in the Thanksgiving game.
Yeah, so if you watch my show on
It's supposed to be tomorrow.
well, it still is tomorrow. If you watch my show on Wednesday nights with Cowboy Cam, we are going to be on there tomorrow night. We're going to be drafting.
Ed talking about what happened this past week and
Yeah.
talking
James,
about Thursday and
James here
Sunday.
says it. I can help you. I haven't lost on FanDuel yet. Trust me, I don't need the help. I am either in first place or pretty close to first place in most of the leagues that I play in, except for, ironically, the Flex Network Listener League. I'm not good in that one.
No, you did not have. You're not having a good year, my man.
Yeah, it's okay because it's Dynasty, so I'll be back in the next couple of years. I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, you're kind of sitting at 3-9 right now.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. I don't have any running backs, so it doesn't matter. But this is not SnowMan. This is not the fantasy football podcast, okay?
No.
So let's go ahead, take us away with your first match into Survivor Series that you want to talk about. I know there were some matches on the pre-show, but I watched them. They weren't good. I didn't care for them. But you can jump.
Was actually a good one. To kick off the inner rivalry brand, setup that they had for the night with NXT getting the first victory. So that was a good match to kick off. Along with the tag team battle royal. But I wasn't interested in that. Granted, SmackDown did win that, so it was okay on the pre-show, but the main show we're going to talk about, and how about we kick it off with Adam Cole taking on Pete Dunne for the NXT title, and that the matchup that these two guys were barely surviving off of the effects of what happened last night, with Pete Dunne coming off the triple threat match and Adam Cole coming out of that hellacious War Games. Did you have a thought that this match was going to be good after everything these two guys went through the previous night, 24 hours later?
It was interesting because I knew the match was coming up. I knew that it was already on the docket or whatever, but I was surprised at the length of the match. I was surprised at actually how good the match was because I'll tell you this. So I do CrossFit and stuff like that, right? So if I do a couple of classes of CrossFit and try and do too many days in a row, normally about that third, fourth day in a row, I'm dragging because I'm so insanely sore. And I'm not even talking about some of the stuff that Adam Cole went through where he's dropping off of the top of cages and taking all these insane bumps and stuff like that. The dude had to be so sore, but he still came out there and just put on this beauty of a match.
Yeah, for a 14-minute match.
Right.
Yeah, so just for that 14-minute match at Survivor Series, I mean, just to see Adam Cole hit the I still call it the Canadian Destroyer off on the side of the ring, on the edge of the ring, outside, to hit that. And then both get back in the ring, and then Pete Dunne going for his bitter end gets reversed into another Canadian Destroyer, and then Adam Cole hits the last shot knee, and that was it. It's that match was awesome, to say the least, for what these guys had to go through the night before. 24 hours later, damn. That's why NXT has been proving that they are the superior brand to watch on Wednesday nights.
And I saw online that they just beat AEW for the first time in ratings this week. Yeah. So
yeah.
That's
So,
obviously a good thing. Okay, what match caught your eye next?
well, how about we can go into the first of the Survivor Series style elimination matches? But we started with the women who kicked off the show with Team NXT consisting of Ripley, Belair, Candice LeRae, Io Shirai, and the surprising fresh Toni Storm taking on Team Raw's Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan taking on SmackDown's Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross.
So a couple things from this match. Number one, I need to ask you about this because you know this a lot better than I do.
Go ahead.
Toni Storm,
Yes.
she is not a pure NXT product, right? She came from another company.
Independent. Yeah, she was on the independent circuit.
Okay. So I knew that, and I was like trying to, when I saw her on Sunday, I'm like, why do I recognize her? I must have, because I go to independent shows here in Texas. They have a lot of independent promotions and stuff.
Yeah.
And so
she's been around the world on a lot of independent circuits. She's been around the world. She's held a lot of championships. So she's been a traveling, kind of girl, out of New Zealand. So she has got, she's been around the world, so she knows what she's doing.
Another thing, I first things first when it comes to which roster was it that had what's her name, Dana Brooke?
That would be the Blue Brand, SmackDown.
Okay, I have been for a very long time, even before she came out of NXT, a huge Dana Brooke truther. I've always just thought that she was like, she's a former bodybuilder. And so like, I've always just been like, man, I felt like if she could just get a fair shake at like a legit run, that she could prove her worth. And it seems like little by little over the past like 6 months or so, she's kind of been like slowly working her way into the, because when Dana Brooke first came to the main roster, she was
Flair's crony. She was Charlotte's crony.
Well, I know that, but even more than that, she was just used as almost like, I don't want to say enhancement talent because that's like super disrespectful, but like she was like the one that's like, oh, someone needed just to wash real quick. They needed to just wipe someone out. Then they would always use Dana Brooke. And it was really frustrating because I always realized that like she had all this talent. She was capable of being a good wrestler and being in good storylines and stuff like that. And so to see her as a part of that team, I was really interested in. And then my third thing on that is I cannot say enough about the NXT women. They kick butt, dude. Bianca Belair is like stupid strong for someone that's her size. She is very, very strong.
And don't obviously that whip of the hair.
Yeah, obviously Rhea Ripley can go toe to toe with anyone, but I think this is one of the matches where WWE did a really good job from a writer's perspective, because I felt like they teased a lot. At one point they put Charlotte Flair in the ring with Rhea Ripley and have them stand face to face, and then Rhea Ripley tags out and teases them like a true heel, And they did that with a bunch of people. They put Sasha in front of Bianca Belair, and then they put, they just put like different wrestlers in front of each other, and they kept having them tag out. And I'm like, man, this is like foreshadowing at its best right here. Like, I loved it.
And everything with what happened, especially with the Raw brand, with basically self-destructing before our eyes, with Asuka leaving Team Raw high and dry, and blinding Charlotte with that damn green mist, that Tajirius green mist. it was just, something you didn't expect, but with everything that was going on between these guys, the bickering and how Charlotte was acting that whole match, you expected something was going to happen with Asuka. Just like, you're pushing me, you're getting in my face. Well, green, and we have She-Hulk Flair in the face.
Yeah, that was pretty wild because Charlotte Flair is not someone who's like even really been bloodied or anything since she's been in the WWE. It's been super interesting, and just seeing her be the one to kind of take that green mist all over her hair and everything else. I was like, whoa.
Not once, but twice in 2 nights in a row.
I was curious if she was going to lose right there or if they were going to have her continue to wrestle. But, she got pinned not too far after that. So,
yeah, well, actually, after she got missed, she got the mist, Lacey Pender. So,
what did she do? Did she schoolboy roll up or?
Yep, the old schoolboy. Because Charlotte was blinded. She's she just like was hulking out with blindness and gets rolled up by Lacey, of course.
Yeah, so they put a what did they do? Natalya was in that match, right? So they did a sharpshooter from Natalya and the Sasha Banks statement with Sasha Banks
on Toni Storm.
Double submission, on Toni Storm. Of course, she tapped out. That's 2 monster submissions.
Yeah, I mean, and surprisingly for Rhea Ripley and Candice LeRae Rhea Ripley, Bianca, and Toni just to be the 3 lone NXT members that were there because Candice and Io got injured during the match, early in the match, so they got help to the back. NXT basically stayed out of the fray all the way through to near the end, at least with the eliminations, because the first 8 that there was 12 eliminations in that match. 8 of them, the first 8 was SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, and then 2 straight Raws with Charlotte getting pinned and Asuka just leaving. That left mostly just NXT and the Blue Brand, along with Natalya being one of the last 2 eliminations. So this match was awesome. There was no words for this match. It's just like, bravo, you guys put on a hell of a 28-minute match that was the longest of the entire, or actually was the second longest match of the night.
Right. So, okay. So what match is next? What do we have going next?
I'm not really going to talk about the tag team championships matchup. That one was okay. Granted, we did see, Undisputed Era and how the after effects of War Games was for them. But to me, granted, it was a good match to watch. I'm just not going to talk about it because there were some good points, good highlights of that. But I'm just not going to talk about that. If you guys go and rewatch Survivor Series or saw it live, you guys know how good that match was with the Raiders, New Day, and Undisputed Era. That it was good.
Yeah, it was a cool match. I mean, all professionals, all good workers. So.
Oh yeah, and good high points, especially with Undisputed Era. Those 2, Fish and O'Reilly, they've been everywhere. They know how to manipulate and just destroy legs and everything. So these guys are hella good. I can't speak ill about these 2.
Right.
The one that really surprised me the most in the interpromotionals was the I call it the second tier championships, but it's the Intercontinental versus the U.S. champ, the versus the North American championship match. So that was a hell of a good match between Styles, Nakamura, and Roderick Strong. These guys, this was dream match, like they said on the show. This is dream match all the way around.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because it seemed like they really just wanted Nakamura and AJ Styles to go toe to toe, but it was cool to have Roderick Strong in there because he was like the guy that, I mean, you got two of the very best in the world in AJ Styles and Nakamura fighting each other. And
Right
so
there.
when they fought in the past in WWE, it was kind of a dud, you know? And so to look at it now and you're adding another element to it with Roderick Strong, I thought it was pretty interesting. There were some really good high spots. All I'm gonna say is I know for a fact that Shinsuke Nakamura's legs are tired the day after Survivor Series because he was kicking his life away in that match. So
with that, and especially that Kinshasa, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a hell of a match to go, you know, to see. And then I'll talk about the women's champs match a little bit. So how about we talk about the men's Survivor Series matchup with
that one I enjoyed that one. I would probably say that was like my second or third favorite match on the card. Mostly I think mostly because the bar for what I expected was set so low because like I said earlier, I feel like the writers are much more enthusiastic when it comes to booking the women than it is for the men.
With the guys. Yeah, because it's so used to. But for almost a half an hour matchup, this was pretty good. I mean, this was really good. With SmackDown having Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman, Corbin, Mustafa Ali, and Shorty G. Yeah. Raw had Seth, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Ricochet. And then Team NXT, which we found out during the pre-show because we didn't know who was going to be in this match once they announced once the teams were starting to be announced for the traditional Survivor Series matchups. We didn't find out until that day, literally at the pre-show. We found out it was Ciampa, Damian Priest, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, and the big man from across the pond, the reigning, defending United Kingdom champion of the world, Walter.
Yeah, I'll say this. Keith Lee absolutely stole the show during this match. Walter had some really good moments, and at one point, Walter was in the ring with Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and Walter all going head to head, trading chops. And Walter's a big dude, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman, he's just that next notch down, you know.
Not so much. Walter, he's the middle one. He's in the middle.
He handled himself quite well. He was in there and he was ready to go head to head with those two dudes. That's a triple threat match that I would love to see in the future. That would be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, there was a question of where's the beef? There's the beef with those three big boys right there. Just going, you know, these guys just going to town. So if you didn't hear me, it's like the question was asked, where's the beef? Well, between these three gentlemen, that's where they were. Sad that Walter was the first elimination in the matchup, which didn't really set it didn't set the tone very well for the matchup itself to have Walter, the reigning
UK champion.
The UK champion, the reigning champion, eliminated first.
And the crowd let the WWE know that because they booed so
Chi-Town
hard.
was heated. Man,
Yeah.
they were heated for that moment. But as it got, it got better as the night went on, especially when we got to the end with were the last 4 eliminations, where it was King Corbin, Ciampa, Seth, and then finally Keith Lee. That whole time frame between Corbin getting his ass whooped by Roman Reigns and essentially betrayed by his own teammate because he's pissed him off throughout that whole match, and then the process with Seth, Ciampa, Keith, and Roman, these guys tore the house down. That was I couldn't say anything bad about it. I was on the edge of my seat, especially with Keith and Roman going out. It's like, and Tommaso, trying to get that fairy tale ending, to knock out Rollins, but I was on the edge of my seat. That was awesome.
One of the big spots from this match that I thought was cool was Matt Riddle actually eliminating Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton getting kind of pissed off, and then just coming through and RKOing him real quick, and then
it's like, yep, you don't get to eliminate me that way and not get a little RKO. Yeah, and that was a surprise because Orton has been known to be in a Survivor Series style match. He has been a sole survivor on a handful of occasions. 2004 against Evolutions, in that matchup with Triple H, Batista, Edge, and Snitsky. A year later, when it was the first, Raw versus SmackDown, he was the sole survivor in that matchup before getting, scared shitless by The Undertaker and a flaming casket. But yeah, he's been known to be to do the sole survivor gig and last all the way through to the end. So having him eliminated that early, being the 5th elimination, that was real shocking.
Yeah, so like we mentioned earlier, Keith Lee really did his best in this match. He made himself look really, really good. And I'm hearing some rumors that the WWE is now very, very high on him, much, much more than they were in the past. And so that's a really good thing. But, Roman Reigns hits the spear at the end to kind of lock it up for his brand. And so he gets to 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, it sounded like your audio was going away there. I was just waiting for you to catch up. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see Keith going up to the main roster just yet, because as it's been kind of proven, you go up to the main roster, you kind of get lost in the shuffle after a little while. So I think right now, especially after this announcement from William Regal that Keith Lee and not Damian, off the top of my head, not Damian Priest. Shoot, I just had wrong one. Dominic will get a tag team championship match tomorrow night on NXT from William Regal, making a Twitter post about it today. So I actually kind of want to still see Keith on NXT for a little bit longer. He can only try to get more up there and even try to go for the NXT title. So that'll be something to see, in the coming months, especially if we get closer to February and when they come on over to my side of the world, my side of the mountains, for that takeover.
Right. Okay, so next, let's move on. We had Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio for
hard.
Yeah, so no holds barred match for the WWE Championship. And of course, Rey Mysterio goes out there with his lead pipe, and for the first for the first like 2.5 minutes of the match, I felt like Rey Mysterio didn't, even though Brock Lesnar was throwing him around like crazy, he didn't really let go of that lead pipe, which I thought was interesting.
He was going for that pipe the entire time. Just like if he could get one good swing in, then he could go to town.
Right. So he kind of put up a good fight a little bit, and he fought Brock Lesnar, was starting to beat him up a little bit. Dominic comes out waving the white flag or white shirt or whatever it is, saying like, "Oh, stop." Yeah, he's like, "Stop, don't hurt him, we'll give up." And then Brock Lesnar just ends up throwing Dominic around.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rey Mysterio comes over, hits a low blow. Brock Lesnar's like right there, and then Damian hits a low blow. Dominic hits a low blow, and now they're really starting to do some damage. They're hitting him with chairs, they're hitting him with pipes.
Well, I mean, they were in Chicago, and Rey Mysterio was acting like a Chicago Cub and just swinging for the vines.
Yeah, so they were beating up on him pretty good, but they hit what was it? Oh, so
double 619.
Yeah, they hit a double 619, and then Dominic hit a frog splash, and then Rey Mysterio hit a frog splash, and they both pinned. So Rey Mysterio jumped on top, and then Dominic jumped on Rey Mysterio's back, and they were both trying to pin Lesnar, and Lesnar kicked out of both of them at 2.5. And then basically just got up and F5 Rey and called it a night, and was able to,
7-minute match.
Yeah, he's able to get out of there pretty quickly. But, it proved that Rey could hang with the big guy.
Mm-hmm. Then let's move. That was, I mean, we figured that was what was gonna happen with the WWE Championship match. Brock was just gonna come in and just run roughshod. Didn't expect anything else. Maybe a miracle after watching that match with Rey hitting the double 619 with his son, and maybe there was a glimmer, but of course Brock kicks out. It's like, oh, and then something's gonna set up, and there's F5. We're done. Call it night. But let's talk about the WWE Universal Championship match. The blue title now. The blue version. With the Fiend taking on Daniel Bryan 1-on-1. And again, in that red light, of course, with the Fiend, I really wasn't feeling it as much. I wasn't feeling the championship match as much, truth be told, with everything that's been going on. The NXT title match, really was a high point for me. The women's Survivor Series match was a high point, and then like the other two single matches was just, you kind of knew what was gonna happen. Brock retaining his title, and the Fiend retaining his championship. This early, losing it this early, not even a month into his title reign. I just didn't see it. So it was okay. It was a good match, but I wasn't really feeling it as much.
Yeah, to me, I felt, number one, the red light on all of his matches, I haven't liked it since they started doing it. I think it's distracting. I understand why they do it, because they want it to look dark and gloomy or whatever, but I haven't liked it since day one, and it's distracting, and it makes the match kind of hard to watch for me. I would much rather just see them in their regular lighting fighting. I think the world of Daniel Bryan, but because of the way they've been booking the Fiend, I think that there was no way that Daniel Bryan was going to beat the Fiend. This match had the same feel that the Rey Mysterio Brock Lesnar match had, which was oh, he'll probably put up a valiant effort, but he's going to fall short.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just honestly how I felt about it. Even before the match ever happened, I just felt that way. I didn't think there was any way Daniel Bryan was going to win.
Yeah. What's happening with Lesnar and with what's happening with the Fiend, I think they're kind of going to be the champions probably, I want to say maybe through Royal Rumble or until WrestleMania. So this is going to be one of those it's going to be a wait and see, because it has to be the right person at the right time that we're going to see a title change hands, maybe at the Royal Rumble where we can get something built for WrestleMania, or just, something built from Royal Rumble through to WrestleMania. So it's looking like that's what's going to be happening for the next 2 months, for December and January.
Right. So
did you know there's not going to be a title change at TLC coming up next month?
Nah.
And then that just leaves Royal Rumble. Granted, this Saturday or this weekend, there was another announcement that Sunday on the WWE Network, they're actually bringing back for I want to say the 3rd year in a row again, another Thanksgiving tradition from back in the day, from the NWA years and the WCW years. They're bringing back Starrcade. So this Sunday, there have been 2 matches announced so far for Starrcade, with a Fatal 4-Way WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, with the Kabuki Warriors defending their titles against Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, against SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley and Sasha Banks, and the former champions Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in one match. And then a last man standing match between Rusev and Bobby Lashley.
About time.
So that will happen on Saturday, or this weekend, on Sunday, during the lovely football game. So I'm pretty sure most of us will be probably watching, but that is exclusively on the network. Just wanted to throw that out there because we're talking about pay-per-views. Well, this is another throwback classic for a Thanksgiving tradition. So, and then let's get to the main event, the show-stopping match of the night, the one that ended it all, the Women's Championship triple threat match. Raw's Women's Champion Becky Lynch taking on SmackDown's Women's Champion Bayley, taking on NXT's Women's Champion Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades.
I'm going to let you go first on this one, because you had mentioned earlier that this was a high point match for you. This was not a high point match for me because of the way that it ended, and even the way that it ended, and then what happened after the match. I didn't care for, and I didn't feel like it did the story or the characters in the story any justice or any favors at all. So I'll let you go ahead and you tell me what you liked about this match.
Well, I'm actually going to be different from you, because I actually liked the finish. Granted, maybe not a whole lot of people liked it as much, but for everything that's been built since the night after Crown Jewel and everything going on when we first heard the announcement that we were going to get Bayley versus Baszler versus Lynch triple threat match, that was the whole thing being built around. And both Baszler and Lynch, saying that their eyes they're gonna be focused on each other, while they're gonna keep an eye on Bayley, and everything that Bayley has been saying, trying to force her way into, saying, don't keep an eye on me, make me a part of this, because I'm a threat too. So I really liked the match. Baszler getting the tap out victory on the SmackDown Women's Champion, while it may not have been, Becky, getting her tap out, losing to a tap out to Baszler, or vice versa, Becky, making Baszler tap out, especially after the hellacious War Games 24 hours previously. Still, this was a good match. Just to justify of how Bayley has been, she got the limelight that she's wanted. She's in the main event for the first time, and yeah, it was against two other highly bigger names. The one from NXT, the dominant NXT Women's Champion, and now officially, as of today, the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion, taking over the previous record holder of Shayna's best friend, Ronda Rousey, taking that spot over. So I actually like the match. Now, granted, after the match, Becky attacking Baszler and letting her know, like, hey, you may have won the match and got the victory for NXT for Survivor Series, but I'm still the man. So I kind of didn't like that as much, but still, that sets up a dynamic for maybe Royal Rumble down the line, maybe a WrestleMania somewhere between Rumble and WrestleMania, maybe, or even at the next TakeOver. A lot of dominoes are getting placed, but I can see potential for this. Maybe even more so if someone else decides to come back.
Right. Yeah. So I see there's definite potential. I see a place where a lot of different storylines could go a lot of different directions. The only thing that I had the problem with was I felt that Becky Lynch didn't need to be what she was at the end, where she essentially put Shayna Baszler through that table, because it just didn't seem necessary, because Becky lost, but she wasn't the one that lost. So
no, she was basically the non-factor in the decision. Bayley is the one who should have been the sore loser. Granted, she was kind of passed out from from tapping out with no air, but yeah.
I didn't care for the way that ended. I liked that Shayna Baszler won because I felt like she's totally deserving. But
and
then
dominant champion down there at NXT since Austin.
And NXT wins the whole night, and I think that's the big story. They didn't just win; they won kind of in a little bit of a dominant fashion.
They won it 4-2-1. Raw only got one victory, and it was because of their tag team champions. So Raw got that one victory. SmackDown got two with the men's Survivor Series matchup and the pre-show tag team battle royal. Otherwise, and then it was all NXT with the second champs match, the Intercontinental United States champion and the North American title matchup, the Cruiserweight title to start the match or start the night off on the pre-show, the women's Survivor Series matchup that started Survivor Series, and then to end the night, the women's championship match. So they ran roughshod on Raw and SmackDown in dominant fashion.
Yeah, so that is our Survivor Series recap and review from this year's Survivor Series. If you would like to get more wrestling content and follow us on Twitter, you can follow the SnowMan right here is our wrestling guy. Okay, so the Snowman is our wrestling guy, and he completely dominates the wrestling Twitter. If you would like to follow the wrestling Twitter, it is at FlexNet_PW Elite. If you want to find the Flex Network on Twitter just for wrestling content, that is where you would follow them, or us, I should say. And then if you want to follow the Flex Network as a whole, our just regular normal Twitter account, it is at the Flex Network 1. And like I said, tomorrow night we will be back. Tomorrow night we will be.
Blue Hoodie Matt is just, it's like, yes, Matt, we're plugging tomorrow. We're plugging what's happening tomorrow on Thanksgiving. The talking about what's going to happen tomorrow for Thanksgiving. Content before we take a nice day, eating some turkey and watching some football and enjoying an Apple Cup ass whooping of the dogs. Just saying. Just saying a little bit, even putting Matt's in support of Wazoo, got that little flag above him. But yes, we're plugging everything, and of course, hopefully they're going to do their sit and start show on Sunday to get you guys ready for the Sunday action. For those who was enjoying the little extra bird on Thursday and decided to take the day off on Friday and Saturday.
And we might have a little bit of that sit and start show tomorrow, preparing you for the Thursday. So just tune in tomorrow.
Getting you guys ready, for pig skin and some turkey skin. So we got you. And
100%. Yeah, 100%.
And maybe a Civil War in there too, for all our fans down at that rep Oregon or Oregon State. So we get you ready. We got you.
Yeah. So like I said, just follow us on Twitter at the Flex Network 1. I'll pop that up here for you real quick.
And I know that tomorrow. Oh yeah. I'll let you finish that one.
And then I just say, if you want to follow the Snowman on Twitter, his Twitter handle is at AJSDeadSnow. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, I am at FlexMike11. And
one last thing before we peace out. I know that tomorrow you're going to be on for your show with Mr. Cam, the man from Dallas, Cowboy Cam, and you guys are going to talk what happened this week on football. And you know what? I was so happy last time, especially with my picks.
Your picks weren't that great because you didn't beat me. Because I'm still undefeated on the season. Hey, but remember what I said last time? You see this magical creation right here?
The book?
The magical book that keeps track of all of the things that are said on the Flex Network. Guess what? This bad boy will be on the Flex Network airwaves tomorrow night.
And I will be here tomorrow night to join the boys one more time because they enjoyed my company. This is just enjoyment of company here on the NFL Week in Review.
Just let me tell you something about this book. This book has not done me wrong all season, okay? And it really proved its worth this week. And where we draw the line in the sand this week between me and Cowboy Cam will blow your mind. So just prepare yourself for that, okay?
So again, join us tomorrow, especially join Matt and the boys, Shane, and let me just make sure I got it right. Alan, you would know the name off the top of the head.
Chill.
I'm not gonna try to butcher the poor man's name.
Okay, listen. If you want to follow our boy Flex Shane, he is at Sealy_Shane. He will be on the airwaves tomorrow night. If you want to follow at Alan Says Lowski. As my boy Flex Matt says, ALANSES Low Sky. At Alan Says Lowski on Twitter. They are there. They are tucking all your football, all your DFS, all that good stuff. So make sure you follow them.
And then, of course, we'll be on tomorrow for, the week in review with Mr. Flex Mike over here to my, next door, down in the Texas, down in the desert heat of, Texas. And
I don't know about heat, but
well, it's still Texas. Everybody thinks of heat for that place, but Cowboy Cam tomorrow, and I'll be joining them tomorrow just to have some more fun with them. It's fun. And we might even make some picks for tomorrow for some college football, for some, stuff that might be happening after on Friday, maybe some Saturday, just saying.
Right. But, okay.
For my fellow Cougar, that's right, sharing the screen with me.
Yes, sir. Sorry I'm wearing orange and black today. I'm not.
Hey, as long as you're wearing crimson and gray on Friday, that makes
yes. You know what? I will be. Okay. Here we are, Snow. You ready? We are going to sign off here. We are the Flex Network, and we really appreciate you guys listening. Please give us a like, a subscribe, follow us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify. Anywhere you find your podcast, we are there. All you have to do is search for us, and if you can't find us, send us a DM. We'll get you pointed in the right direction. And as for the Snowman, as for myself, Flex Mike, we will catch you guys later. Peace.
Hey, go Cougs.